Hey, we have two very interesting cars that we're looking at today. We're looking at a 1967 Ferrari 330 GTC up for auction, ending any minute now. This car is currently at about 550. I predict this is going to close at around 5. And there's also a 1969 Maserati Ghibli Spider conversion that is ending just right after the Ferrari. For the Ghibli's value, I'm going to predict somewhere around. First, let's look at the Ferrari. So what we have here is ex-Geneva Motor Show car. So it being an ex-show car gives it a little bit more notoriety, but I don't think all that much. So, but it's a beautiful blue, they call it pale blue paint. Obviously it's got the 4-liter Colombo V12. Sounds magnificent. You know, these cars have been called the best driving vintage Ferraris. And, you know, I haven't driven all of them, but I have driven this one. And I think these are a lot of fun to drive. They're comfortable. You know, there's room in the back here for a bag. There's a nice big trunk, but they're comfortable. They have air conditioning. They have plenty of power. They sound beautiful. This looks like a really great car. It has a known history from new, so that's a pretty big deal. Let's take a look at the Ferrari's interior. So while the Maserati is definitely a Grand Tourer, this GTC, which stands for Gran Turismo Coupe, it's also a bit of a GT, but it's a little bit more athletic than the Maserati. I don't want to say that this car is quicker or a better performing car. The Maserati has plenty of grunt. It has a much larger engine by about 20% over the Ferrari. Ferrari has a V12, hard to beat that, but the Maserati's V8 is wonderful. So again, this interior looks really pristine. It looks like these seats were restuffed, recovered. We have our parcel shelf in the back. Everything looks good. These mats are a little bit out of place for me. Here are our seat belts. Beautiful, beautiful Nardi steering wheel. We've got our gated shifter. Let's take a quick closer look at that. That looks very cool. Let's see what else we have. This wood is very nice. It's tasteful. It's not overdone. So this thing is showing 72,000 kilometers. We've got our benzina gauge, our clock, our amp gauge, some other nice switch gear. Look at the toggles here. So let's see if there's a cleaner picture of those. No, let's come back. So these are nice toggles, and they have markings above them, letters, simple letters, what they control. You notice that the parking brake is right here. On the Maserati, it's a floor-mounted parking brake, but they're both within the footwell, the driver's footwell area. Beautiful key detail right here. Torino, that's where these keys are from. That's a wonderful detail to see. Even the number stamped on there, 5147. That's the number of the key blank. And we're also talking about this 1969 Maserati Ghibli 4.9 Spider conversion. So Spiders were extremely rare. I think there were about 150 of them made, plenty of Ghiblis made. The Spiders go for way more money than the coupes. And as you can see, this one, with about 27 minutes left to go, it's hovering around $75,000, $80,000. Ghiblis were and still are some of the most beautiful vehicles from that time period, mid-60s to, let's say, the mid-70s. They're far more beautiful, I think, than anything Ferrari was building at the time, and you can fight me on that if you want. Let's just take a look at this. These seats look a little tired. That wheel looks a little bit out of place. These had a V8 engine, so there was a 4.7 and also a 4.9 available. They had plenty of power. They sounded great, but more than that, they looked great. I think this looks better than even a Daytona, other than this Speed 8 Classics license plate junking things up. But I don't think there's a bad angle on this car. These door seams do look a little wide, and the blue paint, it could just be the angle. The blue paint doesn't seem like it quite matches the paint around it perfectly. It's hard to tell in a photo. Also, we don't know what has happened to the car. Top up looks good. The wheels are great. I don't think these are the best looking wheels of the era, but overall, the car is one of the best looking vehicles from that time period. And you'll notice it has these vents on either side with 4 slats, 4 on this side, 4 on the other. This is a V8, so that sort of makes sense there. Let's take a look at how tired this interior actually is. So yeah, the seats, they've been lived in. Let's take a look. So the dash has what we refer to as the mouse fur. The seating position on these is decent. So you'll notice, first of all, the handbrake is right here. Clutch, brake pedal, throttle, they're all pretty much right in front of you, which makes it easy to drive. A car like this would have the engine set a little further forward than, let's say, a Daytona, where you're actually trying to get that center of gravity closer to the middle of the car. This car is a Grand Tourer. This is a GT. Interesting placement, right, for this ignition right there. All of our cool Italian switches. The oddities of Italian cars from the 60s, even through today, is just wonderful. So if you can get in an old Italian car or even a new Italian car, you're going to find some unusual things that you say, well, you didn't have to do it like that, but they did. It has a beautiful beep beep. Nice sound from the horn there. And that key is worn. Somebody has been using this, right? So we can see that the key has some miles on it. Even the switch gear. The switch gear has been enjoyed. So what are these worth? Let's talk about values a little bit, because these auctions are ending soon and we want to make some predictions. The 330 GTC's values have dropped a bit over their highs a few years ago. This car is currently at about $550. It's got a few minutes left to go in the auction. I predict this is going to close at around $625. We're going to see in a few minutes if I was right. Haggerty puts this at about $560 for a condition 3 car. Spiders are way more expensive. And Bring a Trailer's own data shows that most cars are coming in between $675 and $450, $480. We're going to see what happens. If we look at where the market is for Ghiblis at the moment, these are Haggerty's numbers right here. So if we look at a 69, well, this is an SS, that doesn't really count. That's a different animal entirely. But if we look at a base car in number 3 condition, it's about $100,000. The car we're looking at has the larger end. I think with the condition, it might come in a little under that. If we flip over to see what Bring a Trailer has to say, so they've sold some cars recently. They're coming in, let's say, about the $200,000 mark for this one, 237. That's a SS 4.9. So that's one of the more valuable variants of this car. But the one that we're looking at here is going to come in somewhere around here. For the Ghibli's value, I'm going to predict somewhere around 125. It has the larger engine, has some needs, but it also has that spider conversion. So it's hard to say how much that's going to help or detract from the car's value. That Ferrari auction is just getting interesting now. Let's see how much the bidding has increased. All right, so we're under a minute to go. We're at 545. I predicted 625. Let's see where this ends up. We've got Copley coming in. So Copley, we know, only sells the nicest of the nice cars. So they think that this is a decent car. Somebody just upped the bid to 546. We're going to see how this plays out. Mustang 15 loves the non-red Ferraris. This guy thinks it's a masterpiece. All right, let's see what George Lyons, the seller, said. Of note, I debated putting 4 of the Concours quality Ferrari wheels on the car for my presentation, but chose to allow the car to be seen just as it was presented new in Geneva. And yes, the extra set of wheels and nearly new tires go with the sale. George, that's a pretty classy seller. We've got some debate here on the Baranis versus the Campy wheels. Fast Hound, he makes a point about saying that his GTC's AC works great. They actually do. I wouldn't say that these are the most reliable cars. Back in the day, we had a customer who had one of these and liked to daily drive it. He got stuck more often than not. All right, we're under a minute. 50 seconds. So I'm going to be about 10% off on this bid because, again, my prediction was 625. I am more than 10% off at the moment, which is pretty embarrassing. Unless somebody comes through with a knockout bid right now, I'm going to be getting down to the last couple of seconds here. 15 seconds. I think we're going to get at least one more bid. Come on, guys. This is a great deal at the moment. No, 3, 2, 1. Sold. It was sold for $546. That is a steal, ladies and gentlemen. That's a great deal. So congrats to Laps PG. We're gonna just yeah. So we're gonna, yeah. Excellent. All right. Let's check in on the Maserati to see how that auction is doing. So we got 7 minutes left. We're still at about 80,000 euros. Again, my prediction here was 125. I was way off on the Ferrari today. Let's see how far off I am on the Maserati. Oh, we're seeing quite a bit of action in the last few minutes. So from 8 minutes ago, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bids. While we're waiting for that Maserati to count down, let's talk about some of the possible reasons that Ferrari came nowhere near my prediction. Because sometimes you're just wrong. All right, so let's see if there's some answers in the comments. So for the most part, all right, so CarDude76 says that this was definitely worth north of 600K. I agreed with him. We were both wrong. Borneo says nothing like a blue Ferrari. I quite agree. So let's see what the seller said about the condition of the paint. He said, I had an inquiry asking for more detail on the paint quality condition. Let me emphasize that the overall refinish is done to full concourse quality and has absolutely no deterioration or age issues whatsoever. The car actually appears as if it was just recently finished, and that is not the case. This is a good testament to the quality of the work and the materials used. The car, in my eye, he's the seller, is show winning ready just as you see it here. Thank you for all the positive comments and respectful bids. All right, so why was I so far off? I think it's just a sign of where the market is right now. We still have some uncertainty in the economy, but more than that, these cars are losing some of their luster because collectors are looking toward newer cars. That's just a fact. We see it right here in front of us, $546,000 worth of fact, when this car should have been 600 minimum. All right, we're winding down on that Maserati. We're under 2 minutes. Let's check in and see what's going on. 82 euros, 82,000 euros. So again, I said 125 US dollars on this. That would be about 110, 108 euros, something like that. And we're getting closer. We've got 2 minutes on the clock. JSH1 just dropped in for $83,000. HN11, these are some really inspiring usernames here. He's at 85, so we're only about 20 off where I think it should come in. Again, this should come in around 107, 108,000 euros to match my bid estimate of 125. Let's look at some of the other auctions as we're waiting. Any idea how much to ship to New York? I can never understand why people, first of all, there's a shipping calculator right here, how they can't figure this stuff out on their own. So it's the summer of '68 and a Ferrari and a Corvette walk into a bar. Ooh, that's sad. He's saying that this car looks like the child of a Ferrari and a Corvette. I think that's rude because this car, I believe, is way more attractive than either of those. So I guess it's possible that the child is more attractive than either of its parents. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Look at those intakes there. Pop-up lights, the Trident, beautiful three-dimensional badge, polished aluminum. You see, a shot like this doesn't really help with the car. So from here, this looks like a poor fitting top. The color of this wheel is just really out of place. I would not have included that sort of photo. I haven't checked the videos to see if there's one of the top going down, but from the photos, it seems like it does go up and down relatively easily. Oh, we've got some build sheets or maybe some repair details here. Price is circled in red. Let's check back in on the, we're way past where I thought it would go. How about that? So let's see what Billy Blythe says. And he always has some decent commentary on Ferrari and Maserati. If there is such a thing, I would consider this a very nice driver Ghibli. If there was ever such a thing, meaning that he doesn't believe that there are driver quality Ghiblis, I guess. It has some wear showing, but at its heart, it's a great car. The conversion of coupes to spiders is not uncommon, and the value is tied to the quality of the conversion. I'd say this does well in that area, with firms of note handling the surgery, the delicate surgery. I don't think it will pull Born as a spider money. This dude needs some punctuation. So we're at 145. So I was way off on two cars today. On that Ferrari, I was way over. I was over by $75,000. Huge amount. On the Maserati, which isn't even finished yet, it looks like at the moment I am off by almost 40,000 euros, which is about $45,000. That's a third of the value of this car. And it's only going to get worse if more people bid on this. All right, we have a minute left. We're holding at 145,000 euros.
1 minute.
Let's look at some more beautiful photos. For the lead photo, I would not have used one where the windows, the side windows are rolled up. I think it looks very, very goofy. It's in Belgium right now. Oh, here the windows are down, so I would have used that. Here the windows are up. Again, I think that wheel stands out like a sore thumb. Just want to look at these lines while we're watching the clock count down. Yeah, for some of these photos, I would not have had the windows rolled up. It just is unnecessary and spoils some of the lines of the car. Let's see, do they ever put them down? They're still up here, still up. Top is up. I think this is a great looking car. These are gorgeous. Looks like the hood is a little proud here and it's dipped down a little bit there. All right, down to the last 10 seconds here. We're still holding at 146,000 euros. 5, 4, 3. Oh, 150. Oh, so we jumped 5,500 euros. Now we have 2 more minutes of pain and agony. I like these two cars paired together. The auction's ending so close to each other, because I think about it. If I had a time machine, I'd travel back to the 60s, and this is one of the cars I would want to drive. I'd pick either the GTC or the Ghibli, probably the Ghibli, a coupe version, or a Spider if I could swing one at the time. They're both really elegant cars. They could be driven regularly. Both of the cars are comfortable enough for that. Are they going to be reliable enough to be driven regularly? That depends on who's maintaining them, how often you drive them, and the condition of the car when you purchased it. Always buy the best car that you can. A minute 30, we're up to 162,000. We're getting close to the 1 minute mark, and we're at 162.5. So Earl Fur, he makes a joke about baby steps. So he's jumping in 10,000 euro increments. His first jump was more than 5,000 euros. Here he jumped 12,000 euros. So either he's a shill or he really wants this car. We're at 91, he jumped to 105. Let's go, how far back does he go? All right, so he just showed up. He shows up today, right? So his first bid was 105. He took it from 91 to 105. Huge jump. He takes it from 106 to 115. He goes 120, 131, 133 to 145, 146 to 151. JSH1 just comes in, only going up 1,000 euros. How much is Earl Fur going to bump it this time? I bet he's going to go up at least, I'm going to say 8,000 euros. I think he's going to take it to 171 with his next bid if he bids. Either that or he ran out of firepower. The thrill of watching auctions is that we can make fantasy bids on this and not have to write a check for any of this. We get to watch other people spending their money on cars that we would want. So he's slowed down. Earl Fur has slowed down. He is going the baby steps route as well, and he bumped it up 1,000 euros. Back to a minute left. Let's see who has the juice. And we get wrapped up in this, right? As car lovers, car nerds, whatever. We look at these auctions and we've got our own opinions We wish we were in the room there making bids with these guys. We don't have to do that. We can just watch them do the heavy swinging and we can just have fun sitting on the sidelines. All right, down to 15 seconds. Is it going? Oh, there's another bid. Oh, so JSH won. He's going to drag this out. This is victory by attrition. He's just going to see if other people can hang around. Here comes the knockout from Earl Fur. Got 2 more minutes on the clock. Down to a minute. Let's see if we can get it wrapped up now. I gotta say, I'm genuinely impressed by the strength this Ghibli is showing here. Generally, Ghiblis don't get the same kind of attention that the Ferraris of that same era get. I'm happy to see that this car is gonna close in somewhere north of $200,000. Ghiblis deserve that respect. I had a chance years ago to buy a black Ghibli coupe for about $80,000. It was about 13 years ago, and I couldn't quite afford it at the time. I wish I had been able to pull the trigger because they're wonderful cars and it would have appreciated nicely. Yeah, so 59 Pontoon came out of nowhere, bumping it up to 176,000. All right, so 176 is about $205,000. We're getting close to the end here. Earl Fur, he's gonna come in with another swing, I bet. At least one. There it is. 182, and 182 is how much? Let's do the conversion. 212. So this car is getting quite a bit of action. One thing's for certain, I was way off on the price of this. I was further off on the price of this as a percentage than that Ferrari. I was $75,000 off, and that 330 GTC closed at 550. So that's 12% off maybe. Here I'm at the moment like 30% off. These are 2 cars that I would give my left nut for, my right nut for. On a good day, I'd give both nuts for either of these cars. Here we go. Sold. Sold at 182,000 euros, which is about 212 US dollars. Nice job. How close were you in your predictions? Did you make any predictions at home? Hey, it's fun. Even if I'm way off, it's still fun to make the fantasy bids. Hopefully you know by now that I'm an Alfa Romeo guy, but I would happily take either of these Italian cousins in my garage. All right, so I was pretty far off on both of these. Check out our next video where we see if I can get any closer on the predictions.